Okay, here we go. Mr. Otway talking fairly quietly because his little boy's in bed to tell you about the source paper and your first tutorial. As you can see down here, we're looking at question number 1. Why do these two sources disagree? And this whole paper is all about this bit. Use the sources and your own knowledge. So you have to assess the source provenance and use your specific specialist own knowledge. We'll start with the provenance. Provenance means this bit here. The bit of the source that tells you where it came from, who's made it, and so on and so forth. And you can get clues about why these two sources are different. I mean, this really is where you get the clues from down here. And if you just went straight into it, you might miss something. So it's quite important that you stop and think WWWWH. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Think of all of these questions, and what you'll end up with, if you can answer your own questions, is perhaps the reason why the sources disagree. Like who created it? The British government. A local British newspaper in which an MP is asking for something in 1955. What were they wanting to convey? Well, when you come to actually read the source, and that's how you'll get this across, you'll see that they're trying to encourage, well, good relations with immigrants, I suppose. Whereas what the author here is trying to convey, that the immigrants are a danger and they're doing damage to the country and the people living there. When you look at when, 1944, 1955, 11 years. In 1944, the situation was very different to in 1955. I feel like I'm commentating at a cricket match. This is a bit bizarre. Anyway, where did the source come from? Well, this one is kind of two sides. I mean, we've said the government and the MP, but where was it born from? Where did it come from? And all of these cross over. In 1944, things were happening which meant the government wanted to encourage immigration. In 1955, things were happening that meant certain people and some politicians were very much against immigration. So it's the context is where does it come from, and why? Oh, I suppose you could also think about where. Sometimes it might say Northern England, Southern England, London, America. Specifically where did it come from? But in this case, geographically they're the same. Why did they make it? Well, that's crucial for this one. To try to convince people and the country generally in the newspaper, who will read in the newspaper, that immigration was bad, and therefore to stop immigration. In this side, it's kind of the opposite, because the government wants to encourage immigration, and that really gives you a clue. And over here, how does this source relate to what you know about the period? Which, of course, typo, I have to change that, make me feel upset. Which, of course, leads on to own knowledge, which is the second part. Now, you don't write all about the provenance and then write about own knowledge. These should all be mixed in together in a comprehensive answer. But to begin with, you might want to do it that way to help you think about it. You must make sure, I should be able to go through your answer, and so should you, and highlight in one colour everything you've written about the provenance, and in red any specialist's specific own knowledge. What do I mean by specific specialist own knowledge? Well, an examiner is human. They're going to read the same thing 100 times. And you'll hear me say this a million times before the end of this year. If you want to get an A or an A star, you have to stand out. And to be able to stand out, what you have to do is have really impressive knowledge that other people don't have. And usually, the impressive knowledge is the numbers. Why? Because people say, I don't know the numbers, I'm rubbish with dates. People find it really difficult to remember the numbers, which is of course why barely anybody uses them. So if you can be the person who uses specific specialist own knowledge that's really impressive, i.e. numbers, like these numbers here, then you can impress the examiner. So if I was saying why did someone make the source, or, well, yeah, I suppose the why bit, or how does the source relate to what you know about the period, we already know because we've spoken about it in lesson that there were 400 British dead, or nearly 400,000 British dead, in the Second World War, and over 1 million houses were destroyed. Not to mention the economic damage, which we've also spoken about, and there were specific numbers there. All of those things explain why the government in this source wants to encourage immigration to the country to help to rebuild, to replace those 400 people who'd been lost. So there we go, we need specialist specific own knowledge, and not just 2 bits, we need to have a lot. So we're going to have to do plenty of knowledge quizzes by the end of this year to get this firmly in your brain. But trust me, if you do it, it's going to be worth it. It's been seen and proven time and time again. An examiner's human, if we make them read your answer and go, whoa, that's what we want. So, provenance, specialist, specific, own knowledge. Ask yourself the questions, revise some numbers. That's what you need.